I'm Bobby C. Welcome to my channel. Hey, we got solar. Today I want to tell you how we added solar to our 2022 Enter Odyssey Model 26M. I want to tell you a little bit about how we did it, what materials we used, and why we did it. So if you're interested, stick around. Well, if you've been thinking about possibly getting solar, you're not quite sure what's involved, hopefully this video will help you out. Don't forget to subscribe. We do a lot of how-to videos on Bobby C and the RV and some others that might be helpful for you if you have Enter Odysseys or other Class Cs, so stick with us. If you saw my video about 5 key tips for Enter Odysseys, I'll put a link down below. One of the things I talked about was power systems. And, you know, at the time we had 2 lead acid house batteries that we were using to power our coach. So we don't do a lot of boondocking. I don't think this is really a good model to do boondocking with because a lot of your black and gray tank pipes are very low on this one. You know, so we just haven't done a lot of that. But we did get solar, so you know, why did we do it? Well, one of the reasons that we made the decision to do this was we stay at some Cracker Barrels now and then, maybe a Walmart now and then on our way to Florida. And when we do that, with our 2 house batteries, lead acid house batteries, my refrigerator would lose power, go dead, not enough power, would start flashing, going bonkers. Typically at about 3:30 in the morning. So when you're staying at one of these places like a Cracker Barrel, and you know, you're going to have to start your generator then. That's not good, especially when there's other campers there. So we had a few angry campers when we had to do that. I felt bad, but now we've had to do that a couple of times. So that's definitely one of the factors that we considered doing something different. One of the main reasons, though, that we decided to go with solar was my nephew Matt, who designed his own solar system on his Grand Design. Big system. He full-times it, so Matt and Ashley, his wife, they definitely need it, and they full-time it with their 2 kids also. So, but he's done it before, and I know when we were in Florida, one of the times he told me when I first bought this coach, he said, hey, if you ever want to add solar, I can help you out. So he was visiting. Timing was perfect because it was Prime Week and when he was coming, and I broached the subject with him and I said, hey Matt, I'd like to take you up on that offer if it's still available, and he said yes, so which was great. The only downside of it was I had some recent back surgery, a minor procedure that really didn't go well, and so it ended up that I wasn't very much help in this project. So Matt, thanks for persevering. He went ahead and did it mostly by himself with Ashley's help, and it was much appreciated. Just want to say that. So when I purchased my RV was solar ready. So what does solar ready mean? So in the roof of your RV, there will be a junction box and a waterproof gland where wires are run from there down below to your RV. So I don't know how well you can see it on these pictures, but it would show you what that looks like on the roof. Down below, I'll show you that box where the termination occurs. In our case, we put a junction box down there with a breaker so that we can turn the panels on or off as needed. It gives you a convenient place to do that. The junction box itself, though, there were a number of wires in there, and my nephew Matt had to figure out which ones were from the rooftop. And once we did that, we were able to make the connections. All right, this is the box. We actually removed the junction box that was in there and installed this other new junction box with a breaker inside, and so that is the breaker. So what we went with was kind of a smaller setup, but good for us. I think appropriate for us. We got 2 195 watt eco-worthy panels, and so it's going to give us about 400 watts of solar. And of course with the lithium, you know, I think it's enough power for us for one or two nighters somewhere without power, and I think for us that makes sense. The solar panels that we installed were two eco-worthy 195 watt solar panels, so that gives us close to 400 watts of solar power. Available everything, again, I got everything through Amazon during Prime Week. They are attached to the RV using some Renogy corner brackets. They attach to the four corners of the solar panel, and two additional ones in the center of the panel, the mid part of the panel. And the panels screw directly onto these Renogy brackets. I attached everything using 3M VHB tape. It's controversial to some, but I saw a lot of folks who have used the 3M tape to attach solar panels to their RVs, so I figured I would give it a try, and so far so good. I haven't had any issues. There are a number of videos on YouTube on how to use the VHB 3M tape to attach your solar panels, but basically the prep work is you have to thoroughly clean the surface of your RV. One of the reasons that I went with the tape is I have a one-piece fiberglass roof, and I did not want to put any holes in it. So, we use the tape, you thoroughly clean the surface, and then you use alcohol to prep the surface for the attachment of the tape, where it's going to be attached, and the Renogy brackets need to be seated properly so that they are not 100% of the surface, bottom surface of the brackets is in contact with the RV. So if you're going to go with solar, you really ought to be thinking about lithium, because lithium batteries work much better with solar panels. You can charge lead acid or AGM batteries using solar panels, but you're going to get much more effective power when you use lithium batteries. A longer power availability, more consistent power. So a lot of reasons to start thinking about lithium. Now, pros and cons to those, of course, the biggest con is they're expensive, but there's alternatives now. I'll show you what I got, but they can be very expensive. And in my case, in a colder climate, part of the year, even though I'm not here all winter, when the temperature goes below 32 degrees or so, you don't want those batteries to be charging. In my case, we chose a WEIZE, W-E-I-Z-E, lithium battery. And this battery it's a budget battery. It's not a Battleborn, which is probably the premier. Battleborn Renogy be the premier lithium batteries. This one is a budget battery, but it does have a heater, which is important, and so it's self-heating. And in my situation, where it could be in some cold weather for a period of time, that was pretty important. So, we'll see how it goes, see how long it lasts. The cost was like $370 is what I paid during Prime Week, and I think that's pretty standard price for that. So not bad. If you got a Battleborn or a Renogy, you'd be looking at $800-900. So I'm gonna take a chance. We'll see how it works. The benefits are many. I mean, they're no maintenance batteries, very low maintenance. You don't have to add water or anything like that, and they're much lighter than lead acid or AGM batteries. So a question that you hear a lot is, hey, can I just replace my lead acid battery with lithium? Just drop one in, and will I be good with that? Well, the short answer is you can. However, you're not going to get the maximum efficiency out of that battery. It won't be optimized, because your standard charger in your RV is it will charge for a lead acid battery, which is about 13.6 volts, something like that. And with the lithium battery, you need a charger that's going to charge it at 14.4 or 14.6 volts to optimize it. In my case, mine is a progressive dynamics charger. It is not specifically a lithium charger. However, there is an accessory, a pendant that you can attach it plugs right into the charger, and you can then charge your battery manually for the lithium voltage, somewhat manually. So it works. If you have a Progressive Dynamics charger, I'll give you my number on it, should be on the screen here, of my particular unit. You'll know that if you have one of those, you can get this pendant and you can adjust it for lithium. Otherwise, if you call Progressive Dynamics, their tech support is great, and they can help you out. If you identify your specific charger, if it's a Progressive Dynamics, they can tell you what you've got and whether it's good for lithium or not. In my particular unit, the Entegra Odyssey 26M, your charger, your charger for your battery is going to be located right behind your power center here. In my case, I attached the pendant, which is what this is. It was about $15 or so. To the charger, it's a telephone cord type plug-in, and with this, I can change the charging voltage so that it's appropriate for lithium and fully charge my lithium battery, and it works great. Now, you will also need a DC to DC charger. Mine I have located actually under my sink on the wall, outside wall, as you can see. So with your lithium setup, you also need to have a DC to DC charger, as I showed you under my sink. And why do you need that? Well, it's really to isolate the lithium battery from your alternator, because again, the alternator would typically charge your house battery, and if you allowed it to do that without a DC to DC charger, it could harm your alternator. The lithium will suck up as much energy as an alternator would deliver, and essentially could burn it out at some point. So those alternators are pretty expensive, so this is a way around that. So the DC to DC charger, mine is Renogy. It's a 20 amp charger. One of the things that we found out in my build, as Matt was trying to hook up the DC to DC charger to isolate the alternator, is that there was a wiring issue. So here's what the wiring issue was. This is your auxiliary start button. So with this particular button, the way it typically works is if your chassis battery would be going dead, you could use the house batteries. It's a switchover, so you could press this button and you could switch over and use the house batteries to assist you in starting your RV. That's the way it's supposed to work. On my case, that's not the way it was working. So in my case, this switch is supposed to be a momentary on switch, so that when you push the switch, it opens the circuit so that the house batteries are able to switch over and charge your chassis battery. In my case, we found that it was wired incorrectly, and instead of being a momentary on switch, this was a momentary off switch. That's the way it was wired. So what that meant was it was constantly, my house batteries constantly trying to charge the chassis battery. This is probably why at about 3:30 in the morning at the Cracker Barrel, my refrigerator was going dead. So again, this happened at the manufacturer, so it had to be corrected, and through some detective work between Matt and his dad, they were able to find out what the issue was and correct it, rewire it properly. All right, this is where we installed our solar controller. So this is in the cooking center, which made sense for me. We were able to run wiring from the junction box in the bay, where it terminates from the roof back to here, and then back to the battery. So made a lot of sense. You can access this through, when you remove your power center inside, you can access it there. This made for a nice clean installation. In my case, this made sense. In the cooking bay, there's a lot of room in here. If you check out that Explorers.life video on the big install that he did on his mom's 26M, they use this area actually for all of a multitude of lithium batteries. you can store them, right here, and that's what he chose to do. Me, I kind of like my refrigerator so that I can access cold beers when I'm out at the campground, and I do like the cooking center, so I didn't want to not use that. I installed my lithium battery. This is the Wise battery. I installed it in the standard battery box here, and I made all of my connections here too. Just wanted to talk about the wiring for a minute. The wiring that we used for much of this was 6-gauge wiring, and the reason we did that, I guess for a couple reasons, was to anticipate any potential voltage drop. It also gave me a little bit of room to expand safely. So again, my nephew's recommendation, he's the engineer, I'm not, so we were definitely going with it. But you can see it's a very clean type of connections. All of my positives are going to this terminal block, which again I purchased on Amazon. Makes it very neat, so you only have one positive connection over on the battery, and you have 3 connections to the negative. Now, I did use some wire ties to secure this so it doesn't move, and a little bracket, if you could see it there, to keep it in place and keep it from moving around. You certainly want to do that. I also installed, you can't see it, but right back here I installed another breaker, which is for the solar controller. The reason we did that was in the winter, when this isn't being used, I'm going to turn off the solar power in the junction box in the bay that I showed you from the panels, but I also wanted to turn off the controller so it could have a slight parasitic draw. One thing that I need to do yet for winter prep is I need to find a way to, because these batteries are temperature sensitive and there's a lot of openings here, is to enclose it somehow. I'm thinking of using some foam and possibly trying to block some of the air coming up through there so that that's not a problem when I'm traveling in the winter. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I'm thinking of some faced, maybe 3/4 inch, maybe 1 inch foam that I could encase the battery in, and keep it from getting too cold and wet and so forth. All right, also, I don't know how well you can see it, but there are we tried to do some labeling on some of the wires here, so that, for example, these two are for the charge controller. It's going over to that breaker that I installed and then back to the terminal block. And, to the extent that we could, we've labeled as many of the connections as possible. So that's it. That's my build. We like it. It gives us some flexibility now that we didn't have before. I'm going to try to sign up for some Harvest Hosts and give that a shot. I have some friends that have some places where we can RV back closer to home where I'm from, so we can go there, get together with some old friends. Looking forward to that, but really pretty happy with it. Thank you, Nephew Matt, for all your help with this, and Ashley, and your dad Steve, who acted as a technical consultant on that wiring problem. So very appreciative of everyone, and certainly for doing that. Wish I could have helped more. Unfortunately, it wasn't in the cards for me because of my back issue. But again, very happy we did it. The total cost for us was about somewhere between $1,100 to $1,500, and again, we bought a lot of stuff during Prime Week, so just the cost of materials was about that. And of course, if you have it done somewhere else with somebody doing it for you, it's going to be a lot more, but maybe you can do it yourself. Anyhow, I hope I gave you some ideas. If you liked what you saw, please give me a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Bobby C in the RV signing out. We'll see you next time.